Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to CarMiZa. This will be Trunk Details Part 7, Gold Details. The purpose of this video is for anyone who is looking to assist with the gold plating to be able to have a detailed walkthrough of what I am looking to have done. First off, this is a rebuild of a legendary car audio system that was built back in the 90s and won all kinds of awards. Said to be one of the best built cars, best sounding cars ever. And I am rebuilding it. So first off, I want to just explain what I've got here. This is just a mock-up piece. The final piece that I'll be using for the wood will be made of zebra wood, so really high-end build. As you can see, there are some items that were gold-plated. This gold plating was done about 25 years ago or so, and it's my understanding it is 24 karat gold. This is the color I want. It's kind of a yellowish gold. I'll talk more about the specifics of the color in a little bit. Notice too that everything is got a really nice kind of a chrome mirror finish. That's also important to me to be able to have that real high shine. I'm wondering if you dip your gold process, or do you do like an electronic brush on, one of those foam brush things? It's my understanding that it's much better to dip the gold. It's thicker, more durable, better quality finish. So I'd be curious of what your process is. It's also important to note that I'll walk you through these components briefly here. I've got a variety of different materials in this build that need to be gold plated. The materials include aluminum, steel, stainless steel, and brass. So I want to make sure there's no issues. I'm assuming that the initial plating, if it's got to be zinc or chrome, may differ depending on the material. But I also, again, I want to make sure you're able to gold plate all those types of materials. I will have everything disassembled and prepped as you suggest. So from there, let's go through and talk about some of the specifics here. So these right here are the chassis for a pair of tube amplifiers, really high-end vacuum tube amplifiers. These are just the frames, and I'm using these again for the mock-up. These are made out of aluminum. I will indicate the material as we go for the different items. They are also going to have a flat 1/8" plate back cover that covers back here. Okay, the dimensions on these two amplifiers are approximately 5 inches by 7 inches by 18 inches. So you'll end up with, as you can see the tops of them there, it's effectively a 4-sided box. The front here and this bottom area remain open. There will be a back, okay? There are some modifications that I need to do to these chassis. Those would include things like, if you notice, it might be tough to see on camera here. These were brazed before, you can see that right there, but they didn't really hold up. So initially there was no connection here. So the previous owner had these brazed, and it's again, you can see some cracks just over time. You can see it better there as well. So I am going to open these up, rebraze these, so there'll be some corrections there. There'll also may be some areas where there are a couple of high or low spots that I will sand to get smooth. You can see, for example, it's tough to see with the reflection, but right there's a little dimple, little things like that. I also fabricated these brackets. I am going to braze these, aluminum braze these to the chassis. And I'll run just a really small bead along here and then kind of clean up this connection here. So these will be attached to this aluminum chassis. Again, everything here is made of aluminum. So my first question on these items are going to be, considering that I'm going to be doing the additional fabrication work on these, does it make sense for me to bring these down right to the bare metal, to the aluminum? And if so, how do you suggest I do that? I've read where they can be acid dipped. I don't really have that kind of a setup at my house. Maybe I can find someone locally to be able to do that. But again, I'll do all the prep work that you suggest. All right, that should take care of that section, those two items. The next thing I want to talk about is this right here. This is a display tube, a vacuum tube, and this is not quite finished. I've got some metal. There's going to be using 1/8" stock, round stock. There's going to be kind of a little cage that goes around this to protect it. You can see the 4 holes there for those. So I would need the cage, this piece, and this to be gold plated. This piece is made of stainless. This is made of steel. The metal that I'm using for the wire is just steel stock. So that's something to consider. Also, these 2 pieces are not connected. My objective here is to try to keep the gap as small as possible, but this needs to be able to happen. This needs to be able to be removed like that. So I would be curious to know how thick is the gold plating, and then therefore, if needed, I can open this gap up just a little bit, just to ensure I've got a tight fit as you see there, but I can still open it, you know, without it kind of seizing up on me. All right, that should cover that part. Let me continue on from there. The next thing I want to talk about is this metal rail. This is just a piece of angled steel, 1-inch stock. You can see it runs the length of the front. My biggest concern with this is the size of your tub. This is just under 44 inches long. So hopefully you've got a vat big enough to be able to accept that. Also, I have, just pull this up, 2 of these boxes as well that will be going in the car. And the material here is aluminum, and they appear to be anodized with this silver, you know, satin silver coating. These will be taken apart. The chassis, all I'm looking for is the actual chassis themselves to be gold plated. One other thing I failed to mention, on these amplifiers, these 2 sides and the back, actually just the 2 sides, excuse me, I want to have these finished off as well. So I don't know if that necessitates polishing on your part or if it's just a matter of prep. If you notice, they're kind of dull. So when these were done originally, I mean, that was not bad, but they are not as shiny as that section there, right? So I am looking to have these be as shiny as possible. With these chassis, again, there are 2 of these. I don't need the inside to be finished because when it's all said and done, it's going to look just like this. Just the entire outside is gold plated. Okay. All right. From there, give me just a second and I will pause the video and spin this rack around to show you the backside details. Okay. On this piece I just showed you, this is approximately 8 inches by 10 inches by 2 inches for the size. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the back chassis. Back of this entire thing and all the chassis that are here and what needs to be gold plated here. So starting with this power inverter, you can see this device here. Once again, I'm just looking to have effectively the outside gold plated. I will have it all disassembled, the sticker off, everything cleaned. This is made of steel. The dimensions on this are 9 inches by 7 inches by 3.5 inches. That should do it on that piece. Next thing is going to be, we'll talk about the bus bar in the fuse block. So as you can see, I've got this fuse block. I have a few of these. I don't know if I'm going to need to have this part gold plated or not, but I would like to have everything matched. This I would need replated. It's just a little bracket that goes on there. These little arms on the bottom, you can see those. And then this bus bar assembly, you can see kind of going, let's see here, back here, you can see this. For reference, this piece right here is 7 inches long and about a 1/2 inch in diameter. I would also want these brackets and these bolts replated in this piece here. This also, I have another one of these. I'm not quite sure if I would have that replated or not, but just to give you an idea. The next thing is going to be the capacitor brackets. You can see these brackets here. This is just 1-inch stock that I bent up. These are made of aluminum, so I would look to have those done as well. Next, let's talk about hardware. So as you can see throughout the build, there's various pieces of hardware. So I've got these. There's a bunch of screws that'll hold those back covers on in the amplifiers. There's the screws there for the amplifiers. There are the screws on this chassis. I would look to have all of the screws gold plated. I was curious if there was a limitation on the size that you're able to do there, if there's any kind of restriction there. Again, if those will vary in material. And I'm curious too, for the best gold finish, would it be best to give you stainless steel, or would it be better to just give you plain steel and then you gold plate that? So if you could let me know that, that would be helpful. Also, I am extremely, the color match for the gold is very, very important to me. Everything's going to be gold plated, so there's no two things to compare, but I'm really trying to restore this build to its kind of its original theme that it had. These are a cover that go on the transformers on the amplifiers. I have 4 of these. It's approximately 3 inches by 4 inches, and it was gold plated the same time the amplifiers were done. I would be willing to, and I could send out one of these as a sample and then a blank piece of one of these as well, meaning one that's not gold plated. These are made of, this is made of aluminum. So maybe if it makes sense, I could send you one of these as a sample, another one that's just plain aluminum. You gold plate the one just to make sure, you know, you send them both back, and then I look at it and say, all right, great, this looks good, instead of doing all of this and God forbid it comes back and the color doesn't match. So here also is a better idea of one of those cracks in that chassis. You can see that's really nasty looking. So I'll be fixing that. And also, let's see, next thing I would be curious of, how do I, you know, hopefully this helps to give you an idea as to what I'm looking to do. How do you figure out pricing on a project like this? If it's easier, if you just want to give me prices on doing, you know, one of these chassis with the back on it, I can use that as I, you know, kind of cost compare different vendors. So, but in terms of the small things, I guess if I've got a price on one of these, I can double it to get this. From there, I can get I would assume, a pretty decent idea, unless you're willing to try to cost this out based on this video. If not, I completely understand if you want to give me an estimate and then I send the product to you. So finally, last 2 things would be, what are your approximate turn times? So if I decided to go with you and I sent this product in, how long would it take for you to turn this around? And also, is there anything else I should know about this? So are there any other questions, concerns, things that you see based on this that you say, be careful of this? So I think that should do it. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and hopefully, again, it'll give you a better understanding as to what my goals are. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.